Good morning and welcome along to the weekly live stream. Thank you to all the regulars who are waiting and along as normal. If there's anyone new here, thank you for joining along. Please do put a thumbs up on it if you haven't already. It does make such a difference and helps people find us, as we are back with Burnley for another week of live action here. It's going to be an important one today, and those of you that have been here the last few weeks will know why. For those that haven't, I'll quickly explain it. But firstly, I hope you're all well, I hope you're all healthy, I hope you're all having a good time, and fingers crossed I'll be able to help you enjoy the next couple of hours. We'll have a bit of light relief from all of the weird and wonderful things that are going on in the world at the moment. So let's have a little look, shall we? We have got a pretty big moment coming up here. It's going to be an interesting one, We've got a pretty unique moment. So hello again to everyone who's along. I hope you're okay. I hope you're going along well. Thank you for coming along this morning. If you haven't yet, please put a thumbs up on it and let us get into the action. There is going to be some important moments this morning and we've got to get informed quick, because if we don't, we're going to be in big trouble. Thank you to all the regulars. Thank you to anyone who's new along. Thank you for your incredible support. Please do put a thumbs up on it if you haven't already. I've forgotten to turn my microphone off, so I'm getting all sorts of interruptions. The classic professional start to the stream. But let's move on, shall we? We need to see why it's so important today. We're in mid-February. We've got a game and then actually a 2-week break before the next one. But today's fixture list is probably on paper a fairly friendly one. We're playing mid-table sides or below. We're playing Leeds, who are currently in 7th, 8 points behind us, leading the chasing pack. We're also facing Watford, who are right in that chasing pack as well. And we've got our 5th round FA Cup tie. You can see next week's episode is the pretty horrendous running. We've got City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Spurs as well. They've had a good season. They're up in 2nd place. So if we're going to fall apart, it will be the next episode, which means we need to stay informed today. We start the episode with the game against Wolves. We're heavy favourites to win at home, but we are down to the bare bones. L Gaming, good morning. How are you doing? Very well, hopefully. I'm doing well. I'm always okay. Tuesday morning's nice because I'm off work, so I'm always relaxed on a Tuesday. I hope you're all well as well. I hope you're all taking care of yourselves. And fingers crossed, we'll be able to get some good results on the board today. So this is the lineup we've gone for. You can see we've not actually got any fit outfield players outside the squad. We've got Flauhaut back from injury, but we're missing Edmonds on the left wing today. And we're a little bit short of some of our usual subs. Ferran Torres just coming back, but not ready to start. So our lineup is as follows. We've got Grondona in goal. Bonner, Simpson, Flauhaut and Wardley along the back 4. Ruthven not ready to sign a new deal yet, but he is considering it in the near future. We've got McNeil and Vaughan on the wings. Robinson and Xavier in midfield. And Harrop behind Balogun up front. I'm tempted to bring in Lowry because he has been outscoring him. He's got 6 in the league, including loads off the bench, and 3 goals in the FA Cup. Balogun has got 8 league goals in 21 starts. I'm not sure which one we go for there, because obviously Balogun's the better player still, but he's going to have to go in the summer. And do we introduce Lowry soon? Maybe I will for those games against the big sides towards the end. But for now, let's get into the Wolves game. Thank you to everyone joining along. We'll get up to date with the chat in a moment. If you're new along and you haven't already, please do put a thumbs on it. Charlie, I'm currently teaching, so I have you muted. Do I have subtitles? I don't think I do, because I'm not big enough yet. I have the option for it on, but I think it relies on someone creating it. So I know you probably can't hear this, so this doesn't help you. But if you press the subtitles button, you might get some. How accurate they are, I don't know. You can probably tell me later, which will be a good laugh, because I'm sure it won't be that close. What happened to the Scottish guy? Good question. And you're going to have to remind me which Scottish guy you're referring to, because I think I'm out of business with this one. Scottish guy. Oh, Jamie Higgins are you talking about? Is he the one you're on about? Because he's left on loan to Aberdeen. Don't think we've got any other Scottish guys. I'm probably doing something completely stupid here. Nathan Mullen, the one who's just joined, he's on the bench. And Tom Ritchie's the other one, the backup keeper. So you'll have to tell me which one you mean, because it's 10 a.m. on Tuesday. It's my day off. My brain's not in gear. And I'm not quite paying attention yet. That's a good answer to start, isn't it? Let's tell the lads to pick up where they left off. We've had a few computer troubles this morning, so hopefully they won't reinvent themselves. But if I do disappear, I've pre-warned you as to why. El Game, you've gone for 2-1 to Burnley. I tell you what, that's an ambitious start. I'll certainly take that. The Gamer, good morning. No worries, I missed you last week, but I got called into college. There's more important things in the world than my live stream. College, school, work, all included in those. So if you can catch up later on in the day when you get back, then great. There will be a live stream replay available for all of them. If not, as long as you pop along when you can, come and say hello, put a thumbs up on it, and get involved with the chat. That's always the important bit. We always enjoy interacting. It's Bonner on the right wing as we're coming forward early on. Ossie Robinson just over the bar. He's been in poor form, but he started well there. El Game, the one I was trying to sign, yes, he did join. He's the one on the bench, Nathan Mullen. So let me take you to him quickly before this highlight. There he is. 2-star ability, 5-star potential. He did join towards the end of the stream, and he is now part of the club. Hopefully, might make his debut off the bench today if we're winning. He likes to get in the opposition area, which is the main reason I wanted him, as well as being 18 and qualifying as a homegrown youngster, of course. Now, we've got a bit of a weird thing. I've come back from looking at his profile mid-highlight, and the rain stopped. We carried on playing, but the rain had stopped. But it's back now. Vaughan on the right delivers. McNeil's up, can't get it in. But it's cleared away. Vaughan's in the path again. Drops for Balogun, he's missed. Balogun's hit the post. How on earth has he missed that from 6 yards? A very bad clearance, but Balogun just as bad. His set-piece delivery there, on point again. Flowerhout just loses out as Harrott clears away. And he's back on the right side of the box. Wins another corner. It is Burnley pressure early on. That's what we like to see. Things looking very good at the moment. But as it stands, it's been an interesting start. I'm not sure how it will go along here. Hopefully you're all able to see it all right. I know it's been a little bit slower than usual this morning, but we are going there. So let's crack on with it, and hopefully we'll be able to get involved. Here we go then. We're still playing on the highlights. How did Luton get on? They got on all right, actually. They won at the weekend. They won 2-0 at Huddersfield on Friday night. It was a really good performance. Probably the best we've played in a long time, actually. So yeah, Luton were brilliant on Friday night. Probably our best performance. I really enjoyed it. And hopefully we'll be able to get another win tonight, because we've got a big game. It's going to be away from home. It's going to be at home to QPR, sorry. And at home, since the restart, we've not been at our best. We've had a couple of difficult spells. Wolves, I tell you what, they're starting to get the shots on target here, Wolves. I'm not sure where this has come from. But yeah, our home since the lockdown, we've struggled a bit. We're a club, we rely on the fans at home. Our home record was so much better. We're tight to the pitch. If you've been to Kenilworth Road, you'll know exactly what it's like. It's one of those where you're right on top of the players. It's an intimidating atmosphere, particularly on a Tuesday night when it's rocking. So I do worry for what that will mean tonight. But as it stands, we're going along quite well in this game. I've got to be honest, my control room's not working well. So if I get below on the behind on the live stream, on the chat, please do bear with me for it. I'm watching it on my phone at the same time to make sure that it's running smoothly, which it seems to be. So hopefully it is for you guys as well. As Maffeo's coming forward on the right. And I tell you what, I'm starting to get a bit worried about this game, because Wolves are coming along quite well and we're struggling to get on the break. And did I see the Neves assist against Everton? Yeah, I watched that game. It was a really good performance. I mean, Wolves are a quality side. I really think next season, I think they'll be challenging for the top 4 if it's a normal season and all goes well. I'm interested to see what happens in the Europa League, as we might get a penalty here. It looked like a trip on Dwight McNeil, and we have got the penalty, which Balogun, I think, will be taking. Is it Balogun? It's not. It is. It is Sunday Balogun. And he puts it in. 1-0 on the hour mark. We're ahead. So yeah, I'm a bit worried about that one for next season, because there's going to be a lot of sides challenging for the top 4. You have to presume that Chelsea and United are improved. I mean, United looked like they were going to make it, but last night, that was a bizarre last minute. I mean, aside from that, Wolves could be up there. Who knows how Sheffield United will play next year, because they've bounced back again very quickly. It's been a really interesting few months, and I'm not sure what will happen next season. Finances might come into it. What's Mourinho going to conjure up down at Tottenham? You just don't know. Jack Vaughan's tired, so despite playing well, I'm going to take him off. Torres will get 15 minutes. Phil Richards, number 10, and Balogun, aside from the penalty, has been poor. But you know what? He'll go to the left for McNeil, and up front will be Leon Lowry. And we'll leave that for the last 10 minutes. We'll drop to balance because we have been a bit poorer second half. And hopefully we'll sneak the win. Man City's ban got overturned yesterday. Yeah, it looked like it was going to happen. The Court of Arbitration for Sport work on a matter-of-fact legal basis, so they're not going to go with the UEFA guidelines of we're trying to set an example. And to be honest, UEFA is a relatively corrupt organisation, as has been proven in the recent past. So I don't think from a legal point they're often going to have a leg to stand on, which is where the difficulty comes. Might lose Adama Traore to Liverpool. I honestly think, given the state of financial fair play and how things are going, and the amount of money the top clubs are going to lose from the lack of ticket revenue, some of the TV money going back next year, I really think that none of them will be able to pull off massive signings. So you've probably seen the biggest ones are about, 50 million for Chelsea? And that's only because they had 100 million sitting there from Werner. Oh, we've conceded. Back to positive. Demand more. But yeah, Chelsea only had the money left over because of selling Hazard. The other clubs were pretty much at a break even last summer, so I don't think they can afford to go as big. So Chelsea might have the biggest benefit this window, because I don't see that anyone else can afford to go and make a net loss in the transfer window of 50 million or more. So that's where the difficulty comes for some of the others this summer. We have drawn though. We've been pegged back by Wolves late on, so unbeaten still, but not the best start. You reckon if you sign more depth, you'll have a chance? That's where Nuno's good, because I guess where players like Matt Doherty and Connor Cody have succeeded for him, he knows where he can get good squad depth. So I really think, as you say, the finances will mess some people up, but Wolves are well managed in the sense that, yes, they're getting some stars from Portugal, but they're getting them on the cheap. And they're also still relying on good British squad players. They know where to go and find them. So I think you'll see from Wolves that rather than going and signing any big players this summer, they'll probably sign another 3 or 4 to add to the squads that are all sort of in that 5, 10, 15 million bracket, either from Portugal again, or perhaps players from the Championship who have been stars, who they can go and get in. So I look at, my club Luton's probably a bit low down to be an example, but I look at clubs above that, probably a mid-table or above in the Championship, and think, a bit like Burnley with Brownhill, who they signed. Obviously, he wouldn't be a starter for Wolves, probably, but he'd be involved in the squad, and he's a good enough player to hold his own. So if you have those Thursday nights in the Europa League, a massive game, he can then play on a Sunday at home to a mid-table Premier League side. So I'd certainly see the value in signings like that. Charlie, should Anthony Sarcevic go to Bolton or Salford? So, he's a lovely bloke. We interviewed him for the podcast. I think he's still the one that got the highest views because he's just such a personable man. He's a good interactor. He was just a nice bloke, which is brilliant. But I think Bolton looks like it's tied up now. Bolton surely going to be one of the favourites for League Two. He wanted to go back to the Northwest. It's going to be a great financial opportunity to go to Bolton because they will pay more in a week than Salford will. And obviously there's going to be thousands more fans in the stadium once they're back. They've got a really good manager who they nicked from Barrow last week, Ian Evatt. So I can completely understand if he chooses Bolton, and that would probably be my advice, to be honest. And of course he won Plymouth Player of the Year, so he's a decent pro. Let me just check back for any messages I might have missed along the way. Liverpool can't announce signings till the new season with New Balance ticks over because of the Nike deal. Yeah, that is part of it as well. But equally, unless they sell, I don't think they're going to be able to buy big. They might be able to get squad players again, but where people are talking about a big new man for the front three, I don't quite see how they managed that, because they would need to sell some squad players or get a lot of players off the wage bill. But I think Jurgen Klopp knows how good some of those youngsters are coming through. It wouldn't surprise me if people like Curtis Jones, Nico Williams, I'm trying to think of some others in and around the club that are probably closer than others. But they're two that stick out immediately that will be more involved next season. So Trent Alexander-Arnold, they won't sign a backup fullback. They'll just have Nico Williams. In midfield, they might let one of the higher wage players go and just have Curtis Jones in there. It wouldn't surprise me. But it might be that he gets rid of the likes of Shaqiri and does a like for like. That's the only other thing I could see potentially happening. Let's have a look. What else we've got? Berama from Brentford. What a player he is, by the way. He's probably, we said it in our Championship predictions over on the podcast, he's probably the star player of the Championship this year as an individual. I know that Leeds have been probably top of the league and look like they're going to win it. Fair play to them. But for me, I really rate Benrahma. I think he's such a good player. Seems a good character as well, the right personality. Brewster coming back from Swansea. They could even take the gamble of letting someone like Shaqiri. That's what I mean, with someone like Shaqiri go in, do they then keep Brewster for the front three? And that's the sort of upgrade. If they can do that in 3 areas, like Williams, Jones and Brewster, does that then mean they can afford to go and sign one player with the money that they're saving on wages from Lallana leaving, from perhaps Shaqiri leaving, someone like that? Sunday Balogun's happy to stay. That's good news for the rest of the season, after his goal as well. We're just trying to get through these 2 weeks. He would be a quality squad option. And to be honest, even if Adama Traore went, I know he's not the same player, but Benrahma's a good winger. I mean, Podence looked really good when he played the other day, so there's plenty of positives for a Wolves fan. L Gaming, I'm not an Arsenal fan, but I'm looking forward to see if Arteta can fix Arsenal. So to be honest, I don't think there's as much to fix on the pitch as people think there is. And I know that seems like a really weird statement. I honestly believe, a bit like Liverpool the years before, I know Leno's out injured, but Martinez looks good. If they can get a top quality centre-half, I think things will fall into place. I don't think Kolasinac or Mustafi are bad centre-halves. I mean, Mustafi's a World Cup winner in a very defensively astute German side, So he's a good defender. He's not great on the ball. Kolasinac has the right attitude, and this leads me on to the issue. Off the pitch for Arsenal, there are so many of those little personality clashes and problems. I mean, he's basically alienated Ozil now, and I think he'll go this summer. They've essentially alienated Guendouzi, who was always an attitude problem. They've managed to get a couple of others off the books, and that will continue in the summer. You'll probably see 2 or 3 leave and think that's a surprise in footballing terms. But he's doing it character-wise, and that's why I'm not surprised David Luiz signed again. Yes, at centre-half, he's probably a bit of a liability. I don't think he'll play much in the Premier League next year. I think he'll be the Europa League experienced player. I think he might play in holding midfield a bit more. But for me, he's the man who they have to look to. He's the man who's a leader in the dressing room. He's won Premier Leagues. He's won Champions Leagues. He's a leader in the dressing room. He's the right character. And they're the sort of players who I think will stay. So I think for Arsenal, it's just about getting rid of some of the bad apples in the dressing room. I think quality terms, with the young players in particular, they've got a brilliant squad. So I think they'll be up there for the top 4 challenge next year as well. Might be a year too soon for them, but I think they'll get there eventually. Bolton's finances, so I'm led to believe they're quite good because they've got new local investment. So they're being quite calculated in the players they're signing. But they've just signed Owen Doyle from Swindon, who went up from League 2, who won the title. So they've signed some good players, and if Sarcevic joins as well, they're essentially signing the top scorer from League 2 last year and the player of the year at Plymouth, both of whom got promoted. One of the top assist makers in the league, Sarcevic, as well. So I've got a feeling they're signing really clever, and I can only speak from Sarcevic's point of view. He's one of the nicest blokes I've interviewed from the professional game. So it seems like character-wise, they're going for the right people too. And Ian Evatt, a managerial choice, I'm pretty confident to say this. I think that's inspired, signing him from Barrow. I think that's the most important one of the summer. Shaqiri will be sold and replaced by Brewster and probably use the money for another position. Yeah, that's exactly what I meant. So if they can do that, not have a backup right back, if they can not have a backup centre midfielder number 10 in one area and use Jones as the 5th or 6th option, and the same with Brewster as well, that would enable them to move on a bit. I mean, probably a year behind, you've got the likes of Harvey Elliott coming through as well. He's only 17 at the moment, so he seems to need a bit of time to mature. But they've got other ones there as well that could do a job. So a player like Adam Lewis has been a hero on this channel before. He's a good footballer. He's never going to make it as a first teamer as Liverpool, but he'd certainly be good enough to be involved in the odd game if need be. What did you think of the England v West Indies match? I think Ben Stokes has a bit to learn as a skipper, particularly when managing his bowlers. But that's something that you can't put against him in his first game in charge. The West Indies bowling attack is probably better than the England bowling attack in English conditions, ironically. I know I said last week that the 3 they picked are probably the 3 I would have picked. Archer was very economical. Anderson's always good in English conditions. I actually think Mark Wood possibly blew his chance a bit. He was a little bit disappointing, a little wayward. So it wouldn't surprise me, particularly in the second test where it is, that Broad would come back in for Wood. That wouldn't shock me. Don Bess was a positive. I think he was good as the spinner. My only other thing would be, in the middle order, to beef it up a bit, is to bring Ali in instead of one of the batsmen, because he can bat and he can bowl. And I think we missed having that second spin option that was top quality. Although I guess if Joe Root's back in the second test, will he back himself to bowl overs? It's a tough one to judge that. But I wasn't particularly surprised. The first innings batting collapse is what cost us again. And it's always been the problem for England. Tom, yeah, Arteta's got a lot of work to do. But as I said, I think it's more off the pitch. So let me know what you think of what I said there. I will always say this, Martinez is the best number 2 in the league. I think Martinez and Sergio Romero are the best number 2 in the leagues. The two Argentinians. So yeah, Sergio Romero is an unbelievable number 2 goalkeeper. He would be a number 1 at probably 16 clubs. So I think Romero edges it. But Martinez, considering what he was like when he first came and he was playing in that Reading Cup tie where he was dropping clangers galore, he's such a good goalkeeper now. So yeah, they're the two most solid number 2s in the league for me. David Luiz in the holding midfield role. Yeah, to me, I see that. At the Europa League next year, he'll probably play at the back as the experienced one alongside the younger players. But I can see him in league games coming on or playing as a holding midfielder. I really can. Mustafi can play well for 8-9 minutes, but his head explodes. He's slidden on Kane, who is miles away. Yeah, but that's a confidence thing for me, Tom. Kolasinac, he's not a good footballer, technically, I agree. I think that he is the perfect backup left wing back. Don't forget, Kolasinac is basically starting at centre half at the moment as a favour for Arteta, because along the back 3, he doesn't have 3 players with the right mindset that he trusts. He clearly doesn't really fancy Holding, which is a bit of a strange one, but I'm guessing that will be a mental thing again. But he's playing Kolasinac in there because his mentality's right, and Arteta's priority at the moment for Arsenal seems to be playing players who have the right mentality. He's alienating the squad and saying you'll be gone at the end of the season, which is fine. So that's why the likes of Luiz and Kolasinac, who won't play every game next season, are in the squad at present. I firmly believe that. How long have we got till our next game? 2 days. I better not put them in the reserves. But yeah, for me, Arteta, a lot of those players won't play in that position next season. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. Bear with me, the stream seems to have just frozen, so I'll be back with you in a second. There we go. Hope it wasn't too much interruption for you, but there we go. We're back on now. So yeah, for me, Arteta, it won't change too much next season. I really feel like he's doing a good job for the club. I really feel like he's getting the right characters on board, and I think that will benefit you moving forward. So I certainly wouldn't argue with what he's doing at the moment. Who else have we got in there? I'm really getting behind on the chat today. Thank you so much for all your interaction and getting involved. I really do appreciate it. If you are new along or you haven't yet, please do put a thumbs up on it. It does make such a difference and helps people find us. I can see that little engineer's turned up at the end of the road again. So I'd imagine that's going to contribute to what happens next. Wrexham, John Rooney, they let him go and they could have signed Quigley. Yeah, the problem is, I mean, John Rooney's a good leader. And he went to Barrow, didn't he? So, was it Barrow we went to? I'm sure it was Barrow we went to. But yeah, there's been some off-the-pitch decisions at Wrexham the last couple of years that are a little bit strange. So, I'm hoping that will be resolved for their sake this year, because they deserve to be near the top of the league. They're a good side. Broad should have played for England, yeah. I'm happy to have been proven wrong on that one. He'll be back in for the second test. Mark Wood deserved his chance, to be fair, but he didn't take it, so I can understand if Broad comes back in. Joe Root will, of course, help out the batting order, but I think that's the end of Joe Denley, I'm afraid. He did really well, and he was what we needed. He was an experienced head, and although he never got a big score, you could always bank on him to get 20 or 30, which we needed in that order. But Joe Root is the man you can bank on to pretty much always get 40 or 50, so it's an upgrade, isn't it? So, I mean, it's 50 to 100 conversion rate isn't good. But if you've got someone in there who you can say half the innings he plays, he's going to get a 50, then you can't argue with that. So, Joe Root definitely will help the batting order as well. Who won the first test? The West Indies won it pretty comfortable in the end, to be honest. A few wickets in hand. One of my dreams is to go and watch England-West Indies in the Windies. I mean, it'd be lovely, wouldn't it? It's a dream that I'm pretty much resigned to not being able to afford. The same as the Ashes in Australia. For me, we've watched an Ashes day at Lord's in England, me and Tom, which was great. We tried to get to a day of Test cricket every summer. Last year we didn't go for the first time in a while because there was the World Cup. We went to 2 of those games. But then this summer, obviously, all of the cricket's behind closed doors. So next year we might have to make up for it with 2. I'm hoping to get to Barbados in 2022. They've got 2 tests over there, but we won't know yet. Yeah. That's the problem, though. No, I guess even now, no one knows what's going to happen in the world in 21, 22. International travel will change completely, I'd imagine. The amount of people who are reluctant to go abroad will probably change. It's going to be a weird world in the next year or 2. It's going to look a little bit different, I think. I know things in a lot of areas are trying to go back to normal quickly, but I think this winter's probably going to change how the world looks for a long time, in my opinion. I reckon Arteta should go for a 3-5-2 with Luiz as a holding midfielder. To be honest, I think he will go for a 3 at the back long term, unless he finds a really top quality centre half. Obviously, he's got Saliba coming back from loan as well, who he loaned out to France. They signed for 25 million last summer. But if he's not confident in 2 centre halves, he will always play 3. Or maybe he plays 2 with Luiz in front. Who knows? But the tactic he has and the players he has seem to suit wing backs, As Grondona's got a knock. I'm down to my 3rd choice keeper, the one who I nearly sold. Fabio's got a knock. So Vinicius is back, but we're still down to 18 players. Summerskill and Edmonds almost back to fitness. But we're down to the bare bones, and we're going to have to go same 11 because we don't really have any choices. So when we go with that 11, we've got to Forest. Bit of a delay to the second game of the stream with a 2.5 week break, but we're there. It looks like the stream's back in good condition, so hopefully all is well at your end as well. Fingers crossed you can see everything you need to. And hopefully we can get back to winning ways today. Forest not doing great in the league. They put Millet up front. We used to have him. He was a number 10. He's not the best player in the world and he can't finish, but I'm sure he'll score now I've said all that. They've got Whelan on the right wing, who we managed for the Republic of Ireland when these were in the head coach. And Ryan Yates has been there since the start. So there's some good players in this side. But they are definitely, on paper, a weaker team. But that means nothing the way we played against Wolves. We really fell apart in that one. Tom, I could afford it, I just don't. Well, the problem is, Tom, I've been saving most of my wages for 7 or 8 years because I'm desperately trying to get on the property market, even just like a little 1 or 2 bedroom house. And when I get to that point, I won't be able to afford it, I can assure you. Doing the 92 will take priority with any spare money I have. The game, I've read that one. Sorry, I'm getting well behind on the chat today. I was disappointed with Sibley and Denley in that test. That just happened. I mean, I wouldn't worry about Sibley too much. You've got to remember he's a really young and inexperienced batsman. He needs that run that Denley's had of 10 or 15 tests to prove himself. It's something we were guilty of. They probably gave the wrong men chances as openers. The likes of Jennings, for example, I don't think was ever going to be a test opener. But they continued to persist with him, and they have to do that with Sibley. They have to give him the fair chance. As McNeil slides in, how's that not gone in? 4 shots already, and how that didn't hit the target or go in, I don't know. Bit of a bizarre one. But yeah, I think if they stick with Sibley, he'll be a good batsman. Him and Crawley look like the ones who are going to make it. Flauhauer has scored from the corner, so we have gone ahead now, which is good. There is another good game on PC's Cricket Captain. I have tried it before, I just can't get into it. As I mentioned a few weeks ago on one of these streams, the one I use is Cricket Coach Game, but the latest one's 4 or 5 years old now, so it's a very locally developed game. But they tried to create it with the FM sort of engine style, so it's the similar sort of inbox, and the attribute style is all the same as that. So yeah, for me that's the choice of the 2. But I'm hoping with the Ashes we'll get a new cricket game. I think they're Big Ant are prioritising the tennis game at the moment, which is understandable. So probably be a while for that one. The F1 game came out this week. I was thinking to get that. It looks really good, but I don't know that I've got the discipline to make the content for that, because you have to basically record the 1.5 hour race and edit it, or you live stream, in which case you can't get away with crashing all the time, which is something I do. But let me know what you think of that. Long term, I'd quite like to get a console game like an F1 and stream a race live. But would I be able to talk much if I'm focusing on racing? If it's a track that hasn't got long straights, I don't know. Yeah, that's the thing with FM online careers. They're always the the easiest thing to come up with the idea for and the hardest thing to put into fruition. I mean, even the one I did on here with Craig, the amount of times towards the end of the save where we got to the stage where we went, oh, we haven't recorded this Sunday's video yet, or actually we've got to play 2.5 months before the next episode. That's the bit that's the hardest. So that for like a fantasy draft, it works really well because you're just playing head-to-head games against each other with a squad that's picked. But for other ones, it's a little bit more difficult. McNeil on the left's going to be replaced. So we're bringing Vinicius and Richards on. I want to get Lowry on for Vaughan. I know Ferran Torres is the stronger option, but I want to really get towards the players who are going to be here long term. Don't forget, this summer is going to see quite a big overhaul. Because at the club, we're going to have a massive change around. I don't know why these subs haven't come on. They're listed as coming on, but they haven't come on. It's a bit of a bizarre one, but there we go. So Lowry will be an inside forward on attack. And apart from that, we'll stick to what we were doing. I might set Bonner as a defensive duty as well, because he's on a booking and we push Lowry further forward. And hopefully that will help us hold on. I was trying to set up a fantasy draft with a professional footballer. I interviewed him for the podcast. He's actually over on Twitch. He does Football Manager streams there. I think his name's Reece Bennett. He used to play for Peterborough. He got released in the summer. Linked with joining Northampton, actually. But he streams Football Manager. It's a very laid-back style he has. And I was hoping I could set up a fantasy draft with him. So that's something I might go for. So, L Gaming, you mentioned something very good there. As unfortunately, Nottingham Forest, for the second game in a row, we've conceded a late equaliser. It's really frustrating, this. It's happening every week now. And this is where you start to see why we fall away from Europe. We just haven't got that longevity over a season. We've only got 18 players and it's starting to show now. So let's get on the attacking front foot. 5 minutes to go. We'll push Bonner further forward as well. And we'll see what comes of it. But I don't think we're going to get a winner here. What we have to be careful is that we don't lose it. But yeah, the fantasy draft idea is something that I hadn't looked at before. I'd sort of, and I'll be honest with this completely, just transparent. It's sort of the thing that had come up to me when thinking about sort of Patreon and channel memberships and that. Because it's something I don't want to do for as long as possible. But I realise once we get to that work-life balance, it's something that will eventually have to happen on the channel. And I wanted that to ideally have that as one of the Patreon things or the channel membership things. Is if you became a member or a Patreon, that then if you were a Football Manager fan or a FIFA fan or a cricket fan, that I would play an online match against you and commentate over it. So whether that be an FM fantasy draft with someone over here on YouTube, whether that be doing a online 5-over blast cricket match or something like that, and then playing that on the channel, and then I'll just commentate over the match, talk about who I'm playing against, thank them for being a member or whatever else. So I've seen people like Lelujo used to do that. I've seen a couple of others that have done that as well. So it's something that I had in mind for that. Obviously, don't panic. I don't want to throw asking for memberships and that anytime soon. It definitely won't happen before FM21. I can assure you of that. But it's something I have to think about because at the moment, I'm growing at that stage where I want to make more content. I want to stream more. I want to be able to continue the growth, but I'm working near enough full time. And obviously in an NHS setting at the minute, that's even more difficult. So I need to think about that long term. And fingers crossed, there will be the opportunity to be able to do that. But that's something for the longer term, something I'm thinking about. Thank you to the numbers creeping up again. This is probably at the early stage of the stream the most people I've ever had in simultaneously. So thank you so much for your support. Please do put a thumbs up on it if you haven't already. Helps people find us, helps us join in the fun. You can see we've got a great little community here, so get involved in the chat. Come and have your say. We just debate football, cricket and any other sport as well. It's just a good laugh. So come on in. Subscribe if you haven't already. We always pick up 1 or 2 every week. It's really great. I don't take it for granted at all. So thank you for coming along. You do watch Reece Bennett over on Twitch sometimes. Yeah, he's a lovely man. A really nice bloke. Obviously, he's one of the first pros that came on our podcast and did a long interview with us. I think I interrupted one of his streams to do it as well. He turned it into his lunch break, bless him. So, yeah, a really nice bloke. And I hope he gets a club soon. And if it's a Northampton or someone local, I'll probably be able to go and watch him once or twice next year. I wouldn't rule out Luton and Northampton being in the same league next year yet. And equally, Northampton's a ground that's, probably half an hour for us with a bus and a train. So it makes it nice and easy to get to. There's a great travel lodge opposite the ground as well. Tom, are we ever going to travel to watch sport? A European football game and if away Ashes series is too much? Yeah, so an away Ashes series I can pretty much rule out now, Tom, to be honest with you, mate. You won't be going to them with me. European football, yeah, I'm up for. I mean, as I've said to you, the first thing for me is the English 92. I'd love to go and do the Scottish grounds as well. I know that's something we've talked about because there's some brilliant picturesque grounds in the north of Scotland. Edinburgh and Glasgow are cities I'd love to go to visit the games. But then, yeah, I'd certainly be up for, I mean, starting small. I want to pick out some unique experiences, really. So, like, I can't remember what it was I was looking at. I can't remember what ground it is now, but there was one in Belgium. And it was like a hop on a Eurostar and a quick metro or whatever. And there was a ground in Belgium. It's like a mid-table team in the Belgian First League who quite often get in the Europa League and that. But it was a brilliant ground. So it's those sort of things I'd look for. I'd like to go to Dortmund one day. That's the other one I'd like to go to. And I know that's not... If I've picked up any Gladbach fans along the way, I'm probably not going to be a big fan of those. But yeah, Borussia Dortmund, the yellow wall, I'd like to see that in action. But that's the thing of gaming. I'm not going to shove it down people's throats and say, oh, get a membership to the channel or whatever. So I'm not really at that stage yet. If FM21 goes well in the early stages, it's something I have to consider because realistically it's an opportunity for me to turn this into part of my job. My ideal long term is to work part-time in the NHS and part-time doing this. And I know this, I'm essentially committing full-time hours. I do 30 to 40 hours a week on this and the podcast. But for me, long term, that would be the aim. I'm certainly not going to price people out. I know there's a deal that YouTube run at the moment where if you're a premium subscriber, you get a free channel membership and things like that. And to be honest, I know I see other people who do sort of up to £150 whatever on Patreon. And I get that because they're huge. They've got big, massive followings and good people following them. But for me, I don't want to be like that initially. And I don't think my content deserves it, to be brutally honest. Because I'm still working part-time. I'm not putting 60, 70, 80 hours in. And I can't. So for me, it would be the sort of £1 a month, £2 a month, whatever. You know, those sorts of things. The lower echelon, shall we say. One of our youth players has broken their leg. Not a good sign. And we're struggling to get wins on the board today. And that might put us in a tricky spot coming up to the big ones. Thank you to everyone joining along again. Please do put a thumbs up on it. Come and get involved in the chat. Yeah, so Tom, Dortmund's one of the ones I've said. Sevilla, don't know about that one. I've got to be honest, probably of the big leagues, the Spanish one is the one I find hardest to get attached to. Sorry, I'm drinking fizzy drink. I don't know why that is, to be honest, because La Liga's a really good league. I find it quite hard to get attached to. I'm not sure of the reasons. My other half went to Seville when she was over there. She loved it, but I can't get my head around why I'm not so devoted to the Spanish league, because I love the Italian league, the German league. I don't know. I really don't know. It's one of those weird things I can't explain. I'm just trying to fit a subs bench here that might actually work, and I'm not quite sure what to prioritise. So I think Jack Vaughan's in good form. I was going to bring Torres back in today, but Vaughan's doing well, so let's just get into it like that. Only Edmonds coming back in on the left and Grandona back in goal. Got tickets to watch Wales in the Euros, but couldn't. Yeah, I mean, they're the sort of things that would be brilliant. We did have a look at the Wembley ones, but yeah, it's out of price range, unfortunately, for most of the working class. So yeah, it won't be for me. I mean, the one thing that I really am grateful for is we went to an Olympics football game at the Ricoh Arena. It was a really cheap ticket. It was 2 awful games, but to say I went to it was a special moment. So I always look out for those. The same as the Cricket World Cup. I mean, me and Tom, we went to England-Afghanistan, which was the cheapest England game. It was about 20 quid, I think. And we ended up getting probably the best game of the World Cup, a record-breaking one, bar the final, of course. But one of the best group stage games, certainly. And then we went to Afghanistan v West Indies, because it was round the corner from Tom's house at Headingley. And it was £16, I think, for the day. Tom, correct me if I'm wrong. It was a competitive match, probably up to the last 10 overs. The fan bases for both sides were brilliant. They were intermingling. They were having a good laugh. There was brilliant street food available from both sort of cultures. it was just a wonderful experience. And I can't imagine there will have been a lot of games that were like that. And for 16 quid, I mean, you can't ask for a better 6 hours of action or 7 hours of action. We have got a goal. And I'm not going to get too excited this time because we've gone 1-0 up in every game so far and not won any of them. Carl, I'm with Real, and the money you get from the Champions League is massive. However, you ended up in the group stage with City, Madrid and Milan. So I can only give one bit of advice really for managing like a Welsh or a Northern Irish or a minnow nation in the Champions or Europa League. It's don't worry about where you finish in the group stages the first few years because it really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. What you want to make sure is when you're upgrading your squad constantly, obviously your squad quality goes up so much quicker than the other teams in the league, and you're then getting rid of players who were the best players in the league a year or two ago. When you get offers from, because the money starts to filter down, when you get offers for players who are quite good, and it's let's say a League 2 or a National League club in England, Championship side in Scotland, and then the second or third best team in Wales. I know it seems counterproductive for the league, but just accept the offer from the Welsh clubs and none of the others, because you want to keep the best players playing in the country. And I know it seems counterproductive making the other league teams better, but you're always going to win the title with the difference in quality of the squad. You'll always win it with the club you're at, as we do concede the equaliser. Manchester United's Daniel James has found his way to Bournemouth and has scored the equaliser here. But yeah, for me, that's always my advice, is accept the offers from the Welsh clubs, because the players will never go there if they've got the option. And then if they reject it, offer them out again and they can go off to the English or Scottish club. But that's always my advice, to try and fast track the strengthening of the league. It fast tracks the TV money you get domestically, and then it fast tracks how quickly the other teams can do well in, say, the Europa League or the Europa League 2, which is a massive help this year. Also, if you do a Discord, you can have a membership chat maybe. Yeah, I mean, I'd quite like to... Obviously, I've mentioned I will set up a Discord at some point. But I don't really want to... The same as the YouTube videos, I don't want to put my core content behind a paywall. And that includes chat. If I'm going to make a Discord, I want the base chat to be available to everyone. Of course, there might be certain posts or whatever that you can do as a special, say, a blog for members or whatever. But for me, I want all of my videos to come out at the same time, whether you can afford to be a member or not. Because I would appreciate people who watch the advert before a video as much as I appreciate a member. You're all supporting the content. You're still putting a thumbs up on. You're still subscribing. You're still coming and helping my channel grow. You're still coming to my live streams and getting involved in the chat. So I would never be putting a video out early for patrons or members or whatever. I'd probably not block a chat from the general public. It would just be, maybe I'll do a special community post or a special extra blog or whatever. But no, none of my core content would go behind the paywall. 20 minutes to go. I need to make some subs. The chat is proper active today, so as much as that wasn't the best sentence, I apologise for being slightly behind. While we're doing that, who do I think the top 4 will be next year? That is a very good question. Edmonds has struggled on his return from injury, so Vinicius on for him. Ossie Robinson replaced by Lowry, and we'll move Vaughan into the middle. Balogun replaced by... Oh no, Lowry's going to go up front. On the right, we'll keep Vaughan. Richards or Torres? Richards is the homegrown. Richards is coming on. So the top 4 next year, Liverpool, City, let's get those out of the way straight away. I don't think Liverpool will win the league next year. I'll be completely honest with that. I don't know who will, but it won't be Liverpool. I think it will be probably City. I'm going to say United second or third. The only reason I'm not sure about that, because they will probably target other competitions. I think that's the priority for Ollie at the minute, is creating a winning culture there. And I think he'll probably be like Mourinho in the early days, maybe attack a Carabao Cup, attack an FA Cup, rather than focusing on the Premier League as such. But I think the top 4 will be City, United, Liverpool, and if I had to be pushed, I'd say Chelsea because of the signings they've made. But I think Tottenham under Mourinho could be the dark horse, depending on how they go. But I think it's more likely that Tottenham will finish 5th or 6th and be the favourites for the Carabao Cup, because Mourinho loves creating a winning culture. And for him next season, if he can get in the Europa League again and win the Carabao Cup, I think he'll value that. I think the season after, he'll then try and win the Europa League, get European glory with Tottenham, And then I think the third full season is when he'll probably try to focus on going for a big push. So we're now 5 unbeaten, but we've drawn 3 in a row. They've all been 1-1 today. And they're 3 games that realistically we should have won. The positive is the gap to the places below us is still 7 points. It's now West Ham who are there rather than Leeds. But our next opponents, I think, are Leeds, are they? I know, so we've got the FA Cup, then we've got Watford and Leeds. So it's going to be a very tough spell today. We need to stay in form before we play all the top 4. Tom, Ajax for all Amsterdam has to offer. Yeah, I think Ajax is a good shout. And more so because Amsterdam's a city you want to go to. It's a good one. It's an easy one to get to. It's very laid back. It's my sort of place. But you know me, I don't like anywhere where there's loads of tourists. I prefer like going to a small town, a small village. They're always my sort of favourite ones. So that's just the type of person I am. I hate the big sort of touristy culture, millions of people swarming around. So like I hate going to London, for example. It's the best example of that. London's a great city, it has a lot to offer, but it's just a bit jam-packed. I preferred the laid-back, leisurely lifestyle. L Gaming, I appreciate your positivity on all the results here, but I think every game's going to be a draw at this rate. I might have to go bold with the team selection and bring a Lowry in. The hay fever's playing up today, so apologies that I'm playing with my nose all the time. Charlie, thoughts on Wickham going to the Championship? Brilliant achievement. Well done to the club. And I've seen a lot of people going against this. I'm not getting involved in the points per game discussion. We had the chat on the podcast. I think it was as rational as it could be. Any decision that was made to end the season would have been a controversial one, no matter how it was done. The way that the EFL does its votes and allows the member clubs to have the full say is stupidity, because of course every club's going to vote for what benefits them. And for most of them, who had nothing to play for, who would have got promotion or a payoff place, or who would have survived, they're all going to vote to finish the season on points per game, because they're all going to get what they need. And that's more than half the clubs, which gets the majority. So that's the thing that needs to change longer term. It needs to be decided independently by a governing body, whatever. That hopefully isn't corrupt. But the clubs having the full decision on what happens is never going to end well, because everyone will vote for what suits them. The game is selfish. The game is governed by who gets the money, who gets the success. But in terms of Wickham, once they were in that playoffs, they were the best side in those games. They were brilliant. I think Wickham were brilliant in the final. They played really well. Obviously, we've spoken to a couple of players in the club at the podcast. The head of media, Matt Cecil, the skipper, Joe Jacobson, who scored the winning penalty. I mean, the nerves you've got to have for that moment are big. So, yeah, brilliant club. They deserve it. They're fairly local to us, so it's another one that's easy to get to. And from Luton's sake, if we can stay up, a club that we'd probably expect to finish above next season, which is a positive as well. But the culture they've got in that club, in terms of the togetherness between that squad, is very rarely matched. It's one of those that is so tightly knit, and you've got to praise a club that can achieve that. With the budget they're on, the job Gareth Ainsworth done is incredible. You think Liverpool will win the league next year? I really don't, honestly. There's nothing against them. I'd like them to. I really like Jurgen Klopp. I really like the club. But I've always had a bit of a soft spot for them for some reason. Probably because John Arnorita gave us a replay which saved the club in 2008 for Luton. But for me, I don't know that they'll win it next year. I really don't. I feel like after wrapping up the league, there'll be a bit of a come down next season. They'll probably focus more on Europe. I'd expect them to do better in the Champions League next year. And maybe win one of the cups or something. Jurgen Klopp might say, I've never won an FA Cup. I want to attack that. You never know. So Sunday Balogun, how did he do last game? Not very well, but he did well the 2 before. So I don't know that we can take him out. I'm going to bring Torres back in and put Jack Vaughan in centre mid. Other than that, we'll stick with the same. What I do need to do now, as we're a month further on, we should be able to get a deal for Ruthven, who would then become our first choice left back. No, still near future. So one more game, and remind me to look at him before the next one. This is a big moment for us. An FA Cup tie at Everton, the 5th round. It could go very wrong, but if we get through here, it's another chance to chase Europe in a different competition. But if we don't win it, we need one of the top 6 to win it. So then we don't end up missing out on Europe again, as was the heartbreak we had with Burnley and the head coach. So early on, let's see how we get on. At least a draw here wouldn't mean we're out. No way Mourinho will be there in 3 years. I wouldn't be shocked, Tom. I really wouldn't. I think that Levy will give him time now. You know he's a stubborn man. And now he's appointed Mourinho and made that change. He'll give him years. What YouTubers do I watch? So the main one I watch is Lelujo. He was the one who sort of introduced me to FM on YouTube. Yeah, I've got the idea for the change in the youngsters as well. I think that's something we can do. The only worry I have with that is then, obviously, if those youngsters don't make it, if people join during the year, the youngsters normally get better. So the people who are most loyal end up getting the worst youngsters. But I don't know. If I do a Youth Academy challenge as the long-term series, I can really see that working. Because whether they're rubbish or not, they'll be playing for 5 or 6 years at a minimum. Yeah, so that's something I definitely consider as well. But Lelujo probably the main one I watched because he was the first one I found that did that sort of content. I keep an eye on Reece Bennett now, obviously, on Twitch, as he's someone that's a friend of our podcast. And I like Second Yellow Card because he's a bit probably like me. He's more of a football man. I know he started to introduce the story elements, but his thing's mainly based on football knowledge. I don't always watch him, but I loved Loki's 2 saves last year, the Accrington and the Fort William. I know his Accrington one didn't really do that well by his standards, but I absolutely loved it because he's a storyteller. He's the opposite. He does something I can't do, which I appreciate. I'm trying to think of others. Golden FM. He hasn't really done an FM20 save, but I really like his content. Just seems like a nice, grounded bloke. And he's a West Ham fan. You've got to help West Ham fans. They have a tough life. Chasing the West Ham way, which unfortunately doesn't come back. This cup tie is pretty much on a knife edge here. It's been very even the first 25 minutes. Tom, Prince or Michael Jackson? That is... I mean, I'm only talking the music side. I'm not getting involved in anything else, but that is a tough debate. I mean, I'd probably edge Prince on personal preference. There's no doubting that Michael Jackson is the bigger and better artist overall, and probably had more of a repertoire. But Prince, for me, I just about prefer as an artist. Probably, I guess the simple way to say it is I like rock and roll, and he's probably a bit closer to that, isn't he? So that's the reason I'd go for him. But both brilliant musicians. A unique question as well. Fair play on that one. Thank you to everyone joining along. We're getting towards 11 o'clock. The number of viewers always creeps up. So thank you for coming along. If you haven't yet, please do put a thumbs up on it. If you're new to the channel, welcome along. Get involved with the community and subscribe down below. And I wanted to mention something today as well, which I'll come back to in a moment. We've got the halftime team talk. We're going to praise the lads. We're going to get them on board. Your favourite band is Queen. Yeah, they're great as well. I mean, there's a lot of... The only thing that's put me off Queen recently, to be honest, is obviously they've carried on with different guest singers, which obviously, unfortunately, they've had to. But some of those choices I don't know have been right for the band. And that's made... Probably put a little bit on their reputation that then... Or on their legacy that I don't follow as much now. But the classics are unbelievable. They're a brilliant band. And they've created some of the best songs of all time in rock. So you've got to be fair to them. A good save from Grondona there. We've got an injury to Xavier. We'll replace him with Richards. And we'll get back into it. Torres obviously won't be able to do the 90 either. Top 5 Prince songs. Now you're pushing it. Sign of the Times. That's probably one of my favourites. When Doves Cry. Purple Rain is a great song. I know it's the favourite. It wouldn't be my number one, but it's definitely in there. You're really pushing me now. Let me just say they're my top 3. I'll leave it at that. There's a few others up there, but I couldn't choose between probably 6 or 7 others. So I'll stick with the top 3. They're my 3. And probably in that order. Sign of the Times, When Doves Cry, Purple Rain. From top to bottom. Everton in on the right hand side. They look like they might take the lead here. They've got numbers over. And we've left it free at the back stick. And it's time for changes. Torres replaced. Vaughan will come on. And... No, I tell you what. Lowry will come on. We'll push the right winger forward. Edmund's still not fit on the left. So we'll bring on Dwight McNeil. A bit more experience today. Let's get back into it with that. We'll have to change the tactic in a minute as well with those subs. And hopefully, we'll be able to get going. I mean, Purple Rain, the reason it's so popular is because it has everything, doesn't it? It's brilliant musically. It's a brilliant song as it is. It's got one of the most famous guitar solos of all time. It's got a little bit of everything. It's got the drama. We're going to push Lowry forward on the right wing. We're chasing a cup tie here. And we'll get back into it with half an hour to go. Balogun with a corner kick. Out swinger. To the back post. Oh, I thought we were going to win that one. And I tell you what, if Everton nick a second on the break here, we can kiss goodbye to the FA Cup. David's in. Probably will be. It's a good save and a great block on the rebound from Flauhaut. Got to give him that. That's brilliant defensive work. But Everton certainly on top here as we go more attacking. And apologies as my throat's starting to go. Here Everton again at the back. Pickford still in goal. Long ball forward. I mean, we've barely talked about the save today. We've just been floating through 1-1 draws all day long. But in all of those, we took the lead. And on this occasion, to be honest, we haven't really laid a glove on them. It's been a disappointing stream on the pitch so far for Burnley. Off it, it's been fantastic. We've had loads of interaction. I've really enjoyed it. Here's Bonner on the right-hand side. Back to Vaughan. Into Richards. Into Lowry. He's done it again, but I think he's offside. The fact that the goal celebration hasn't come up at the top suggests to me that's going to be given. He looked off, so I won't argue with that one being given. Thank you for everyone joining along, getting involved. Really loved it. L Gaming had a record player for Christmas. I'd love to get a record collection going. It's one of the to-dos on my bucket list. Love to get a few of the classics. Some of the older Oasis albums. Some Beatles tracks. Prince, Michael Jackson, Queen. There's some classics on there I'd like to get. There's quite a lot of other bands I like around as well. So The Lars is always one for me. They only had one album, but it was blooming brilliant. The problem is, unfortunately, the lead singer and songwriter was too much of a perfectionist. He didn't know when to stop and put the music out, and it ended up harming them massively. I mean, everyone will probably have heard of There She Goes, but they were such a good band. Here's Lowry on the right-hand side. Switch over to McNeil on the left. Into one-on-ones. Got to score. Saved. If only we had the in his peak McNeil, we'd probably be doing a lot better here. That's the unfortunate thing at the moment. To the back post, Flauhaut heads into the arm of Pickford. We've gone attack him, but we're not looking like getting an equaliser here. I'm trying to learn Purple Rain on the guitar as I listen to this. The question wasn't as random as it seemed. I tell you what, mate. I know for a fact you've only been trying to learn the guitar for, a month or two. And that you're on the early stages, let's say, of your development. My only advice as someone who got frustrated with it after a couple of months is probably don't go to Purple Rain yet. Stick with a Wonderwall or something like that for the initial stage. We went attacking, but it wasn't enough. And I think coming into the big games later this month, we might be coming into a spell of bad form. Xavier's only out for a week. That's a good sign. But this is Wednesday night as well. So 3 or 4 days. And we've got Watford at home. A massive league game as well. That I tell you what, a live stream is a phone charging eater. I always put mine on charge before I'm streaming so I can read the chat the whole way through. It just absolutely eats the battery. This channel is great for loads of reasons, but man, the main reasons is you reply to us. Oh, thank you. I mean, the most important thing for me, I'm not here to... I'm mainly here I make content I enjoy. That is the main thing, because if you don't do that, you will get sick of it after a year or two. I know a lot of people who have come into it probably around a similar time to me. They've grown quicker than me because they've put out experiments and all of the things that get views. As soon as the beta comes out, they'll go and manage a top 4 side. And then they'll piggyback views off the big YouTuber who's doing that. They'll also do maybe a clickbait title and say, I've given this club £100 million, I've given this club £1 billion, whatever. Or they'll do experiments that people want to see. But I don't enjoy experiments. I would make experiments long term in the future, but only very niche ones that I would like to see. And probably they would only get a lower number of views compared to normal experiments. But the main important thing on my side of it is making content I enjoy. Because if I'm enjoying it, hopefully you'll enjoy it. The only time I really had a stunt in growth in the channel was probably the first 3 months of FM20, because I was rushing due to work. I wasn't really taking the time to enjoy the content, it became a bit of a chore to go between the two fixture lists while trying to work full time. And it showed, and it clearly had an effect on the number of people who joined along. So the last 3 months has made a huge difference. I've grown more than the first 3 months of an FM cycle, which is really unusual. And of course, I will have lost views along the way from the long-term stories because I'm doing long-term stories. They're 12 to 15 years in. People don't want to come and see that all the time. People will naturally drop off as you go along. But every time I create a Dorking Wanderers episode, whether I know 100 people or 30 people are going to watch it, I love it. The same as Torquay last year. And that for me will always be the important thing, because if I love it, hopefully you guys will. But in terms of the content, the main reason I'm putting it on YouTube is because I hope someone else will enjoy it. I hope someone else will be able to get involved. I hope someone else will say, oh, actually, I can do that. Or, oh, this is taking away a 15-20 minute stress from my day because I've just got a bloke relaxed in his chair swinging around talking about football, and probably lower league, different areas of football to other people who largely focus on the top areas. It's probably my only advantage over a lot of the YouTubers in my genre, is that when I'm managing in the National League South and the National League and League 2 and League 1, I know nearly all the players from real life. I can recognise what clubs they've been at. I'll take a break off to say, oh, I recognise him, he used to play for Luton, or he used to play for whoever. Oh, I'm sure I had him in FM18, or I've seen him watching a National League game on the TV. That's my only real strength compared to other YouTubers, so I have to play on that. But for me, replying to the comments is the most important bit. It's why I do it. I get involved with it. It's why I've started streaming. So to be able to answer people, I know this is a very long and round the point answer, but that's the main reason I do it. So I will always try. I know I may get to a stage one day where I can't reply to every comment on every video, but that day's a long way off. I get probably now 3 to 4 on a video on average rather than 1 or 2. And I'll always try and respond to them. And if I get to the stage where I can't, I'll be honest to say that I can't, and I'll respond to as many as I can. Or I'll live stream more so I can interact live with people. So sorry for the long answer, but that's generally the point. What's happening to the form? I have absolutely no idea. I was hoping someone else would tell me the answer. We haven't won in 4. If we get to 5 after this one, we then go away to Leeds, which is a big game in the European chase. And at that point, I'll probably go and have to have a team meeting. Also, that FM title from last week, I thought I time tracked or something. I completely forgot to mention that because it was in the last week. I was interviewing. I tell you what happened. Normally, I upload the videos. Probably I'm about 4 or 5 days ahead in editing. So at the moment, I've uploaded everything to Saturday. And then hopefully I'll record my video for Sunday with Tom later. So I upload them, and then on the day I just come in about 2-3 o'clock, and I'll, after work or in my lunch break, I'll come and update the title, take out half of the adverts because YouTube put in about 5 or 6 auto adverts and I only want 1 in the middle normally, or 2, and then I'll update everything. But that day I just completely forgot. I came home, I'd got home late from work, I was interviewing Faker Others, which is one that I was looking forward to more than any other because she's a Luton fan. She's a massive name, obviously, on Soccer Saturday and TalkSport. And we were just having a great chat off camera. We'd finished the interview, but we were just having a brilliant chat. We were talking about Luton for about half an hour before and after. And I just completely lost track of time, to be brutally honest. So for me, unfortunately, the video came out. But it turned out to be a blessing in disguise, because I don't know if you've noticed, my average video probably in 2 days gets about 50 views for this time of the series later on, and that one got 375 because everyone saw the title and went, what on earth's going on, and obviously clicked to watch it. So, you know, I'm not saying it's something I'm going to do more often in future, but it certainly didn't cause as much harm as I thought it might, which was nice to see. Balogun's been in poor form for 2 games now, so Lowry's going to come in. Furlong on the bench, I think we'll leave it at that. So Phil Richards and Lowry in. The team's getting younger and younger, and I'm hoping they can inspire something here. I'm glad you enjoy the content, though. That's the most important thing. As long as there's one person out there who enjoys it, I will always do it. And thankfully, it seems like there's more than one most of the time. So that's the great thing for me. The number of subscribers is popping up, and that really helps as well, because I know then when the next FM cycle comes, if I'm on my game, things will go well then. Favourite team in Germany, Spain, France, Italy, Scotland. Germany, Dortmund. Scotland, Hibs. Spain, I'll come back to you. Italy, probably AC Milan. But at the moment, Atalanta, I love what they're doing as well. So I really appreciate what they're doing. France, good question. Again, the French League One I struggle to follow, so I probably haven't got an outright favourite. I would probably say Lyon, and from probably the only league I'd give an answer based on a glory hunting point of view, is they were winning the league every year in the mid-2000s. They had Janino, they had a few other players that I really like watching, so I'd go for them probably based on that. Leon Lowry in for the first chance. Unfortunately, doesn't take advantage though. Spain's the hardest one. I don't know who it would be from Spain, to be brutally honest. Maybe Valencia. I think, again, they'd had that miracle year under Benitez when I was just starting to follow football abroad. And I love some of the players they had around then. Obviously, David Silva was coming through. David Villa was there. Joaquin. Vicente they had over on the left wing. I really like them. So, yeah, I'd probably say Valencia if I had to be pushed. Watford on the front foot here. We're really not looking great again, which is a bit of a worry. Try and change the formation when I'm in bad form. See, I used to do that all the time, and I don't anymore, because morale seems to be the main thing here. Do you put too much in the chat, or is it okay? I'm never going to say to anyone, don't put something in the chat. As long as you're not swearing or shouting abuse or anything like that, I don't mind. I'm here to talk to people live, so as there's people about and they want to talk, I'm more than happy to do so. If there's loads of stuff and I can't keep up, I'll probably miss the odd answer as we go behind to Watford. Particularly times like this when I've got to worry about what's going wrong on the pitch. But yeah, I'll never discourage people from getting involved in the stream. Tom, can I guess your 5 from those countries? Probably not, mate, to be brutally honest. I don't know what you'd go for Scotland. I really don't. And I don't know the controversy that's going to come with it. Burnley have equalised. Leon Lowry scored again. I mean, that man is a machine. Germany, you go St. Pauli, obviously. Spain, Villarreal, because of Santi, would be my guess. France, I'm going to say Montpellier, because of Giroud. And Italy, oh, that's the hardest one, because you don't really watch Italian football. Would you say Juve because of Szczesny? Probably not. I'm trying to think who you would go for. Italy's the hardest for me. So let me know how many I got right out of that. Those are Tom's, by the way, not mine if you're just joining along and you're keeping up with the chat or on replay. I'm not the biggest fan of the French League, no. To be honest, the French League's the one I find the hardest. If you watch sort of mid-table games, they're quite good. But any game where, unfortunately over here, understandably, they show the PSG games and the Monaco games mainly on TV. But for me, as Edmonds, he's missed. I thought we were going ahead there. Yeah, that's probably it for me. It's the top of the table teams. It's just a bit too easy most of the time. But there are a lot of goals, and the mid-table games, you often get some thrillers. So I'd encourage that. Rather than worrying about watching the important games, just watch the games where you see two teams you think, they've got nothing to play for. They'll normally be the best ones. Just trying to keep up with the chat here, so bear with me. We're past the hour mark, and I've got to try and find a winning formula here as well. Thank you to everyone joining along. The usual 11 o'clock rush is here. Thank you so much for popping in. Please do get involved in the chat down below. Let me know how you're getting on. I hope you're all well. We're going to bring on Sunday Balogun and move Lowry over to the right. Edmonds, I tell you what, after injury, he tends to struggle for a bit. So McNeil on for him. And number 10 role, we'll bring, I'll tell you what, Robinson on and Richards can drop back. Because I don't quite want to give Mullen his debut when we're in poor form. Lowry will push forward on the right-hand side. He's now an inside forward on attack. I'll tell you what, it's gone really quickly this morning with all the chat. We're what, an hour and 10 minutes in already? I didn't even realise. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you all for getting involved in the chat. Thank you for everyone joining along. Please do put a thumbs up on it if you haven't already. I really do appreciate it. I don't really have a favourite for most of them. St. Pauli, Barca because you live there. I really thought you were going to go for Santi, to be honest. Probably Marseille. Again, I've just gone based on your Arsenal fan habits, to be honest. Celtic probably. I'm not even going to make a comment on that one because there's no controversy here. But to be fair, over on the podcast, I have interviewed a few, or Charlie's interviewed a few former Celtic youth players recently, and the standards they talk about when you're Celtic or Rangers is incredible. Talking about, like in a youth team, if you'd score a hat-trick in a 6-0 win against a St Mirren or a Partick Thistle or someone like that, and the mentality of the staff there of, well, you should be scoring that. It's absolutely incredible to hear. Fascinating. And one of the Celtic youth players picked Ibrox as his favourite stadium, which, I can't wait to see the reaction to that, to be brutally honest. But another draw, another 1-1 draw. So that is the 4th league game this morning, and that is the 4th 1-1 draw. We've lost in the FA Cup. It has been a disastrous stream, really. We've got Leeds next. They're 9th. They're now 9 points off us, and it's one team we could rule out the race. So we will go and talk to the lads midweek and just say we're a little bit disappointed. We're not going along too well. Tierney's going to be a skipper one day, so you owe Celtic. I agree. I mean, Tierney's a fantastic player. How, with the greatest respect meant to you, Torp, because I know Arsenal are a big club, don't get me wrong. They're one of the big 6 and they will be back there eventually in the next couple of years. And possibly this season yet. I don't understand how one of the best 2 or 3 clubs in England haven't signed him. I get Liverpool have got Robertson. He was never going to go there. City have got perennial problems at left back. They've had consistent issues there. Why on earth they didn't go for Tierney, I have no idea. Chelsea, problems at left back. Why they didn't go for Tierney, I don't know. Tottenham, not the best left backs. Don't know why they didn't go for Tierney. Although I'd rank them similarly to Arsenal at the moment, just dropping off out of the top 4. But they were in the Champions League at the start of this season, which Arsenal weren't. And Manchester United, probably more understandable because they've got Brandon Williams coming through, who will almost certainly be brilliant as well. And Luke Shaw's had a bit of a renaissance this year. So yeah, a bit interested. Kieran Tierney, he's fabulous. He's a fantastic player. As you know, I watch quite a bit of the Scottish football on BT, which I won't be able to next year as it's gone to Sky, but Kieran Tierney's fabulous. And again, the thing I value most in a footballer, the same as I always say about Kolasinac, which you say to me, I know he's not the best footballer. And I know as one of 3 centre-halves, when Arsenal are back at the top or succeeding under Arteta, Kolasinac will not be starting games in a back 3. But I highly believe he will be involved in that squad because his attitude is sensational. He is the right character. And I can see him being Tierney's backup as the backup left winger. I really can. A left wing back, sorry. Because the mentality is elite level. And you have to have that in the squad. The same as I rank it to a Liverpool where you have people like James Milner, who's been involved in City squads and Liverpool squads when they're winning leagues. You have to have players who are going to be involved in the squad who are good footballers, maybe good Premier League footballers, which I believe Kolasinac is. He'd probably go and play for an Everton, a mid-table side, or a top half chasing Europe side. But he's got an elite level mentality, and you have to have those people in the squad. And to be fair, you were telling me last week that you shouldn't sell Aubameyang and you should sell Lacazette. Do you say the same after the London derby? That's my question. Who is the guy? Kieran Tierney. He was a left back at Celtic. Came through at about 18. Played there for 2 or 3 years. Involved in the treble. And then he's gone to Arsenal. And he had a few injuries at the start. But he's just stamped in as the left wing back now. He's absolutely brilliant. He's a wonderful young footballer. Ironically, he's playing centre-half for Scotland because of Andy Robertson. So, for Scotland, probably for the first time in 20, 30 years, have got 2 of the best defenders in the world coming through. And they're both left backs. So their best 2 players are both left fullbacks, which is a bit bizarre. But I don't know how they'll work that moving forward. But yeah, I rate him so highly, Tom. Really do. Thank you to everyone joining along still. I do appreciate it. We say it every week. Tuesday morning isn't the ideal time. But for me, it's the only time I can stream. It's my only day off work. So it is great to have so many of you along. There have been a couple of minor interruptions this morning, thanks to the lovely technician at the end of the road. But generally, I think it's gone pretty smoothly, so we're looking all right. Are any of these 18 or under? Craig Lilly at Hamilton. We said look at Scotland for youngsters. We have been, and it's going well, but his birthday's before the summer. So he'll be 19, and that means he won't qualify for the Youth Academy Challenge. But thank you for everyone joining along still. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for everyone who's been subscribing over recent weeks as well. The numbers crept up quite quickly. I mean, the podcast channel has gone absolutely nuts. We got about 2,000 views in 4 hours last night. I mean, the Wickham promotion helped with that, but I have no idea how it's gone so nuts. Some of the interviews, I mean, Sarcevic joining Bolton today is probably going to help as well. The prediction shows have gone mad. Some of the interviews, I mean, we're getting to the stage where most episodes are averaging over 100, which is absolutely crazy for us. The number of subscribers has doubled in the last 6 weeks, considering we've been going nearly 2 years, and we've found our mojo now. So we've got so many interviews backed up with pros that we're just going to have to start putting them out every day, which is an incredible place to be in. And I'm sitting in this little chair in my little room in Luton, and I'm interviewing professional footballers 2 or 3 times a week. It's a dream come true, to be honest. El Gaming, I rate Aaron Moy really high. Yeah, me too. I will be absolutely flabbergasted if Brighton don't sign him permanently this summer. He might get a few bigger offers as well, but yeah, he's not going back to Huddersfield. They might be a League One side at this rate. For Luton's sake, hopefully there will be, because that means we'll be out the relegation zone probably. Yeah, Tierney turning up to a game with a Tesco back. I mean, it just says what it is. It just says what it is. The right mentality. There's humble. And that's the thing I've noticed with most of the pros we've interviewed. They've got the right mentality. And you normally know when there's 1 or 2 that haven't. And you can probably work them out at Arsenal pretty easy. El Gaming, yes, I did see you over on the podcast channel. There's quite a few actually from here that have popped over. I've really been appreciative of that. It's been a massive growth for us. I mean, the last 2 episodes we've put out have gone absolutely crazy. We've got some... And the thing that I love about that is we've been able to do it and start growing. We were quite stubborn with it, is we weren't just going to go for clickbait and Premier League stuff. We want to avoid that. We want to highlight lower league football. It's what we love. We want to do match day vlogs from 9th, 10th tier football. We want to do predictions for the Championship. We want to interview players who have played in League 1, League 2, non-league. And to be able to do that and still grow is amazing. So I wouldn't change the way we've done that for the world. But yeah, everything's going brilliantly at the minute. So I can't thank you enough for your support on both channels. The one thing I do want to mention today to anyone who's new along, I know that I don't often do this and say follow this specific content on my channel, because obviously you all are here for different reasons. You like different things. And even if you don't watch any of my other content and you just come along to have a chat for an hour or to rest your mind on a Tuesday morning, then that's absolutely great. But today's the head coach episode. Is probably one of the biggest of the season. We've got some big job offers coming up. Obviously, we talked about being at the end of our stint with Gladbach. We've got big job offers and a job change. So today could be a very big day on the channel. Certainly going to be one of the most exciting ones we've had for a while. And I've got a feeling that's going to have a positive effect the next few days as well. Obviously, the new season of Dawkins done well too. When's our next game? We have got one today, and then there should be a 2-week international break, should there? 2.5 weeks. So, who can we get in to play games? We will get Darnell Furlong in. We will get Fabio in. Vinicius. Nathan Mullen needs football. And Tom Ritchie can have a game because there's no keeper in there. And Carl Whitehouse will be back from injuries. He can play 60. But hopefully, as we go to play the big side, we'll be getting the others back from injury, which will make a difference. Let me just see if I can talk to the boys. The dressing room atmosphere actually is still excellent. And it's not letting us hold a team meeting. So considering we haven't won in 5, and we've drawn every league game 1-1, that's pretty incredible and says a lot for the dressing room we've got at the club. So I really am pleased with that. You have to bear with me with the chat. I'm a little bit behind today. It has been so active, which is absolutely fantastic. But I'll try and keep up as much as possible. So thank you so much for your support with it. I really do appreciate everyone coming along. Normally after 11 it does pick up a bit. So thank you for everyone who's a latecomer. Of course there will be a full live stream replay afterwards. So don't worry if you've missed any of the action. As we head away to Burnley, and there is pressure on us. Leicester have won again to go 8th. West Ham have won again against Brentford to go 7th. And there is now just 4 points between us. Next month, we are playing Tottenham, we are playing Liverpool, and we are playing Man City in a row. And Arsenal. 4 of 6 games. And that's 4 of the 5 clubs above us. So if we don't get a result in one of these ones, we're going to be in big trouble. We need to bridge that gap. Because with us out the FA Cup, a top 6 or 7 finish is a must. Vinicius Xavier is back. And as much as I want to promote the youth, he's going to have to play today. Phil Richards might come in the number 10 role because Harris just dropped off a little. But I don't think we will do that today. Everyone else is still struggling though. So that's the 11 we're going to have to go for. We'll go and have another little chat with Ruffin. I think he might be ready to sign a contract now. And hopefully that means we'll have a new left back for the next game after the international break. We have, right, regular starter, important player. Be my guest. 12 grand a week. So we've got to offer him at least 8. We'll have him on 10. We'll try and get all this down. We still got to protect the finances. We want to improve the stuff off the pitch as well. You're not getting money for Champions League qualification. And we will try and get these down. I also just realised I've forgotten to take my lunch out the freezer. So it might be takeaway o'clock this lunchtime. It's the first day actually on a Tuesday. I haven't got an interview lined up afterwards. I've got 2 other episodes to record for Saturday's head coach and Monday's Dorking Wanderers, and maybe the one with Tom for Sunday as well. But it's the first day I haven't got pros lined up, so hopefully it'll be a bit more of a peaceful one. He wants that 12 grand a week, doesn't he? He's really pressing us for it. I mean, fair play to him. He's sticking to his guns. We've got a friendly relationship with the agent, and we're going to need these players long term with the Youth Academy Challenge, so I'm not there to upset them. In we go to the game though, the last one without Ruthven at left back by the looks of it. Yes, Cole, so any big news on the head coach? I've just mentioned that today's episode is big news. I can assure you of that. So I think it's probably the one that I would say is the one not to miss. The only clues I will give you, it's the first offer we will have from a European super club. Obviously, you were in the comments the last video. We've got 3 or 4 we were linked with. So we have got a super club offer. We will be joining a new team and we will be meeting a new team. So come along and see which one it is. And the players that we've got at our disposal. Because it's not without its problems. But of course, it is a massive moment for us. So I'm really looking forward to that. I heard a rumour they might get rid of FIFA points next year. I'll be honest, I wouldn't hold my breath on that one. Because that would require them to come up with a better system, which I don't think they've got. In the head coach, I would go for Chelsea or Barca. So I'll tell you, that's the thing, is which jobs do we get offered is always the important. As I said to people in the chat, as we've got an early penalty with Ashley Harrott, who has scored. No, he's hit the post. And he stood still. It looked like it was going in, but it's hit the post and come out, and he has gone absolutely nowhere. But yeah, in a head coach, it's what offer you get is the most important thing. But I can confirm there were 4 super clubs in the reckoning. One of them offered us a job, and we have got a job. So come and have a look to see who it is, because I'm really looking forward to it. Tom, talking of takeaways, it's cat's pyjamas tonight. Oh, I'm jealous of that. I tell you what. I mean, in Leeds, that is, the cat's pyjamas. Brilliant Indian takeaway and restaurant. But I tell you what, Tom, I can make you jealous too, because I tell you what my temptation is. I might go for a Nacorn tie. I had a lovely Massaman curry last night, but I might go for a Nacorn tie today. It's not quite the same homemade, is it? Either that or I'll go for something a bit lazier and a bit quicker. But Leon Lowry has just scored a cracking goal. Owen Edmonds, he cannot get fit again. I'm going to bring McNeil on, go with experience. He is a homegrown player, so it doesn't matter too much. And that's the thing, when morale's down, that's when you start missing penalties. That's when you start blazing chances, making individual errors at the back. But Leon Lowry is single-handedly getting us draws at the minute. I wonder what his penalty taking rating is. Pretty average. I just would have thought we would have had a better penalty taker than 13 at the club. But it's something I've done quite well in all the series this year, is not had any good penalty takers anywhere. 5 minutes to the break, though, and we lead 1-0 in what is a crucial game. The problem is, though, will we throw it away in the second half and give away the lead? We've done it in 4 league games in a row. Will we do it in 5? So we'll encourage the lads. We've got nerves in terms of Ian Wardley, but it will be his last start at left back. Ashley Harrott's gone into the 5. So do you know what? Let's not persist with it. We're going to take him out and we'll bring Richards on. But I think for Sunday Balogun, it might be the end of him this summer. I think we'll probably sell him on. I mean, we've got a maximum of 2 years to get rid of all of the non-youth products, the ones that don't qualify for this series, and he will be one of them. We'll have Andy May coming back from loan, of course. 2.5 star, he should be able to do a job as a backup. And I'll tell you what, with 15 to go, Things are looking all right. I'm tempted to tweak the tactics slightly for the last 15. And in fact, I'm going to do so. So let's just see this highlight out. We'll get to the 10 to go mark. Leeds are just about on top of the highlights. So, Ferran Torres will protect him because he's tired as well. He's going to be replaced by Ossie Robinson with Vaughan going out to the right. And then Richards will come into midfield. And Xavier, I think, will go into the holding role, which he's natural at, is he? He is. That's his preferred role anyway. So Vinicius Xavier, deep line playmaker on defend. He can sit in front of the back four. Richards, advanced playmaker on support. Robinson, Mazzala stay the same. Vaughan as a winger. McNeil as a winger on attack. Bonner fullback on defend. And this time, let's try and hold out for a 1-1 draw. We'll stay with positive because, of course, we're relying on the lads. We're trying to make sure that we keep possession. We don't just gift Leeds chances. But we are going to drop the defensive line. We're going to keep that tempo down a little bit. Keep the ball a bit more. And be a bit more disciplined. Let's just try and see if this works. Of course, staying in our normal tactic hasn't. So let's see if we can get ourselves a draw. Get ourselves a victory, sorry, rather than another draw. But before the tactic changes are made, the superstition's out. Leeds are in. Leeds are in. Oh, no, no, no. Oh. Grondona stops it on the line. That was about to be the most calamitous own goal you'll ever see. El Gaming, you got another question? Go for it. Absolutely go for it. Tom, I'm down in Luton next week. Definitely having one while I'm down. You are very right to do so. They've opened up again, so they've reduced their opening hours on delivery, which is a pain for me because obviously I'm 3 miles away and have to go on public transport. So hopefully I'll be able to get in the window today as Vinicius Xavier goes over the bar. And we're into stoppage time now, or 1 minute from it, as we've got another throw on the right. Please, just give us a second. It will get the confidence back. But Leeds are on the counter, and they've got men forward. It's a 2-on-3. Where are the defensive fullbacks? Where have they gone? Grondona saves. Drop to balance. That's it now. Time wasting. We have got to see this out. We have got to see this out. Have to. Your internet didn't freeze. I did just repeat the same statement twice. Did you make your YouTube profile pic? Yes, I did. So if you go back to my very earliest videos in FM18, you will see in the corner I had the worst logo you will ever see. It's probably the bit that I found hardest with the channel, ahead of all the content, all the technical side, as we do hold on for a win at last, a crucial one as well. I mean, the performances have been shoddy today, but we got the result. But yeah, in terms of the logo, it's the bit I find the hardest. Even my thumbnails, up until probably 3 or 4 months ago, were poor. And the head coach ones still haven't converted. But it's the sort of thing I've worked on the most this year, and it has made a big difference, particularly over on the podcast. But yeah, the logo is probably due an upgrade, to be fair. I've got an idea in mind, but I don't know if I'll be able to make it happen. But yeah, that's the one thing that's probably lagging behind a bit at the minute. What's the best goal I've ever seen? So the immediate one that springs to mind in terms of a well-known goal that everyone would know is the Xabi Alonso goal, Luton-Liverpool, the 5-3 game. But obviously there was no keeper there. I'm trying to think in the flesh. One of the best goals, and you'll be able to look it up on YouTube because Luton made a big deal of it. Luton against Southport in the National League. And Steve McNulty, who's quite famous for being for not having the physique of a footballer. But he really is a good player, good defender, good leader, technically good as well. Got back-to-back promotions with Tranmere, got Luton out of the National League, and he's now looking like taking York into the playoffs now. But he scored a 35-yard wonder volley against Southport in the National League. So that's one of the goals I'll tell you to go and look at. And again, from goals I've seen in the flesh, that springs to mind. And the other one, actually, is in the FA Vars final last year at Wembley. Quincy Road for Chertsey Town. And again, I'll say this every week. Anyone who wants to see good non-league football, go to non-league finals day at Wembley. 25 quid to go to 2 games. You get the FA Vars final, and then you get the FA Trophy final, which normally features National League teams. And it was absolutely brilliant. He scored the goal in extra time to wrap things up. It was a wonderful goal. And I mean, on Cray Valley's side, the team they were playing against, they had Kevin Lisby, who obviously used to play for Charlton in the Premier League. They had Michael Malcolm, I think his name was. He's played in the Football League, had a trial at Luton before. So, yeah, I mean, those are the goals that spring to mind. Who's for the drop in the Championship? Carl. Think Stoke might be safe now. It's hard. I've said this before. I think Barnsley are down. if they lose to Leeds tonight, that's it. They've got a horrible run in. They didn't beat us, which they needed to. And obviously they got battered by you guys. And obviously then they drew against 10-man Wigan, which was probably even worse for them. So I'd say Barnsley are gone. I'd say if Hull are playing Wigan tonight, in fact, whichever team wins, that is down, I think. Whichever team loses, that is down. I think it will be Hull who will be down. And then I think it's either the other of Wigan and Hull, probably Wigan, and Luton and Huddersfield for the last spot. I didn't include Huddersfield in that until this week, but they were so bad against us. I mean, they were uninspired. They were lacking in confidence. It sort of actually reminded me of Nathan Jones when he went to you guys at Stoke. Because the Cowleys, there's no doubt in they're brilliant managers. They've done it at multiple jobs. But they're working with players on that high stature who are still stuck on those Premier League wages. And they don't seem to want to play for them. So my hope for their sake is that the Cowleys and Huddersfield stay up. Not at Luton's expense, but that they stay up. And then they get the summer to rebuild the squad. Because next season, they'll be up challenging for the playoffs in my book. And that was the problem Nathan Jones had. He couldn't get rid of a lot of those players in the dressing room because they were on such big money. But at Huddersfield, a lot of them are on shorter contracts. They're not as high earners as such. So I think they'll get a few rid of them. And obviously they'll get money for the likes of Aaron Moy and a couple of the other boys there as well. So I'll be interested to see what happens there. But yeah, for me, Hull, Barnsley, and then either Luton, Huddersfield or Wigan. But then Sheffield Wednesday could lose points as well. So we'll see what happens there. We have got a youth intake. So should we have a little focus on that? Let me just get up to date with the chat quickly. You're getting beaten in Rocket. Lee Brookfield, where did you get the idea for this series from? Lee, welcome along. Thanks for coming in, getting involved in the chat. So this series specifically, for most of the regulars of the channel will know, I was managing this Burnley side in the head coach, which is one of my main journeyman series every year. And we just came to the club and they had sort of 4 or 5 brilliant young players that had come through the academy and 1 or 2 that they'd signed before the age of 18. So we got to the stage where it came to its natural end and we had to move on realistically in that series. Because in that one, we don't have any say in transfers, contracts, staffing or any of the like. But we like the Burnley side so much. I'd always wanted to do a youth academy challenge. I'd just started to dabble with 2 or 3 live transfer window streams and thought, let's give it a go. So I said, why better than stick with Burnley? We've already got half of the team here. So we're on a sort of 2-year quest to build a side that's fully homegrown or that will become fully homegrown. And in the 3rd year, we're going to go for it and try and win some trophies, or at least 1 trophy, with a homegrown squad. That's the plan, simply. But thanks for coming along. I do appreciate it. The logo is great, though. See, I like it, but it's a bit out of date in terms of pixelation and all that sort. So it struggles on a thumbnail, for example. Because I can't do any super chats or anything, would you like me to make a server to tell you stuff about Discord? So that's it. I mean, that's my plan for this week. I've got a couple of days off this weekend next. Even that's changed since last week. I was planning to have the whole week off. But at that point, I will then really go and have a look at Discord. Because it's something I want to have set up and trial before FM21. Yeah, I knew you meant Rocket League, don't worry. I don't think we'll win the Premier League with this team. I was thinking more a Carabao Cup or the Europa League 2, perhaps. But let's look at the youth intake. We'll take a quick pause to look at this. Oh, that's a bit disappointing. That really is a little bit disappointing. We've had brilliant youth intakes with Burnley. Obviously, it's the most important thing in this series. So let's look firstly at the player who's got the most ability, which is Stephen Roscoe. Not going to make it, I'm afraid. I don't like a striker who can't finish. I don't like a striker who can't finish and he's got poor determination. But let's look at the 2 with the biggest potential. So John Tyson, versatile, which is a big thing. Centre mid or centre half. So I'm thinking maybe a 4th choice in both areas. 4-star potential. Yes. I like him. Determination's poor. Personality's poor. So we'll get him working in a mentoring group off camera after this episode. But stats-wise, he's got everything. He's brave. He's strong. He's got a good jumping reach. He's got the height. Tackling, marking, heading. For some reason, as a centre-half, his long shots are brilliant. And his positioning sense is alright. So mentally, he will improve. He seems like an immature 16-year-old. But I'm sure in time, that will improve. So that's the man for me. And of course, he can cover in the middle as a sort of defensive midfielder later on. So he's someone we'll try and make it work with. And the other one we'll have a look at is Peter Sell, a goalkeeper. I mean, we're not too worried because Summerskill and Grondona could be our keepers for years to come. But he's potentially a third choice, although mentally he's absolutely horrific. And he's that bit older as well at 17, so we might have to worry about that. Okay, would you like me to make that? Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't worry about it for this week because I'll do my learning this week. And then next week we'll go in a live stream and then we'll come and make something from it. I don't want to take up lots of your time if I'm then going to be behind. So don't worry about it for now. And to be honest, with like the super chats and all those sort of things, I'm not going to be asking for them for months yet. Definitely not till FM21. Big news. Ruthven has signed a new deal. We have now got our new first choice left back who is a homegrown quality player. That means Wardley will be relegated to backup or sold in the summer. This man is going to be a superstar for us. And he's got the right personality as well. We're very pleased. So we'll get ahead to the next game after the international break. It'll be our last one of the morning. So probably our longest live stream yet. We'll reach the 2 hour mark maybe. But then we'll pop off for lunch around 12 and I'll try and get that Thai takeaway delivery in. The number of views, probably the joint highest it's been at any point in this series now. So thank you so much for everyone who's come along. If you haven't yet, please do put a thumbs up on the video. It helps people find us. It does make such a big difference. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. But thank you so much for coming along. Thank you to all the new and regular faces down in the chat today. Great to have a couple of new ones joining the community each week. And I really am enjoying it. To be honest, I think next week is a landmark moment. It brings up our 10th live stream next week. So this is the 9th one. Next Tuesday will be our 10th ever live stream. And I've got the added bonus of my other half who works in school. So she's going to be off work. And the other member of my household is also off work next week. So it will be probably a bit harder to have a quiet background noise. We'll probably have the doorbell going. We'll probably have all sorts. So next week might be a tricky one. But nevertheless, it will be a landmark. So hopefully you guys will be able to join me for that. I mean, the number of viewers has been in double figures now for probably 10 minutes or more, which is absolutely astounding. And we're well into a series now. It's not like we've got an episode 1 or something to attract people. So thank you so much, everyone, honestly. If you haven't yet, please do put a thumbs up on it and come and get involved. But I'm so grateful for this. This is absolutely incredible. And what takeaway? So I said to Tom, I'm going to try and go for a Thai. We've got a brilliant Thai restaurant in the town centre here, which is about 3 miles away. But I have to get it delivered because obviously I'm not getting a bus into town at the moment and I'm not going to sit in a restaurant at a time like this. I know a few have been enjoying it, but it's not for me. So yeah, I'll try and get the Thai. If not, we'll find something. There's plenty around here. It's one good thing for Luton. One good thing for Luton is the fact that it is absolutely packed with brilliant takeaways. And it gets a bad rap in the media because unfortunately, some people want to talk about the negative side of diversity, which, let's be honest, on a day-to-day basis, there isn't. They offer a wonderful service, all of the different cultures that are in this town. I mean, the food outlets are incredible. It's something that most towns don't have. The services you get, obviously, we've got brilliant doctors here from the subcontinent, many of whom I work with every day, so I'm never going to argue that. But yeah, I mean, that's the big positive of Luton. It is absolutely brilliant for that sort of thing. The culture and the diversity provides a number of brilliant things that people don't want to look at. So that's my biggest positive on that front. Don't mind, love to help channel. Yeah, I really do appreciate the help. It's definitely something we'll work towards the end of the month, but I don't want to commit to it before I know I can get involved. And the same with the Discord really is for me, I want to create it and then be able to be actively involved. And I know there's loads of good people in my community. You'll probably have a little chat amongst yourselves when there's football things going on. But for us, I don't want to make it and then not be involved in it at all. So to give you a bit of a background, generally, I've applied to slightly reduce my hours at work. So I'll be going down another hour and a half, 2 hours a week, which just means I get a little bit of breathing space. And it means generally then I get half a day a week where I'm not doing this or working, which is what I'm looking for. When I get to that stage where I'm working flat out 7 days, it just pushes a bit. So half a day to relax is what I aim for at the end. Work 6.5 days a week. thank you to everyone coming along. Thank you for the extra thumbs up. I can see 2 or 3 more have gone on. Thank you so much. I mean, it does make such a difference. I'll tell you what, I've just noticed something. Andy May has only just scored his first goal of the season. There was me talking him up. He can't hit barn door at the minute. So that might be an issue for next year. Andreas Dimitri's doing well, but he's not homegrown at the club. So after injuries, he'll be sold on. I'm trying to remember who we've got out on loan, actually. We can have a look now we're in an international break. Let's see. Out on loan. So Jamie Howes is one we've got to look at. He's only 2-star and he's a striker who can't finish. But he might be a good backup for a number 10 role for the right wing. Maybe someone we can keep at the squad. Steve Hay, a left back. We've got to think about keeping him potentially. Harry Fielding on the wing. Not really my type, to be honest. That Dimitris, is he homegrown at the club? I don't know that he is. No, he's not. So he won't be involved. And then Eric Palmer-Brown. So yeah, it's only really Andy May and Jamie Howes. And then Steve Hay, if he can improve. I'm going to go shop. See you later. Lee, thanks for popping along. Appreciate you coming in and getting involved in the chat. Hopefully I'll see you next week. And best of lucks in the shop. Hopefully everyone's being sensible for you. Let's crack on. We've got a week to go in this international break. Then Villa at home. And then we'll stop off before we've got all the big games. Because obviously it's going to be an absolutely massive April for us. Will we still be in European contention? You've got to hope so. We'll go and have a look as well at who won the Carabao Cup and who's going to win the FA Cup potentially. Because they're fixtures that are going to be crucial for us. Because if it's a side outside the top 6, we then need to finish a place higher in the league. So 5 players being kept by the Burnley head of youth development. So let's look at the other 2 quickly. Adam Tamplin, quick striker but can't finish. And Andy Simmons, attacking midfielder. Oh, I quite like him. Fairly professional, good natural fitness but physically not developed yet. Technically very good though, and a flair player. I could see him being involved. I like the look of him. I'm glad that he's been signed on. Oh, I've got a threat from Virgin Media on my text messages. Sorry, I was getting distracted by that. There we go. All the fun things. But thank you so much for everyone who's coming along. It has been a really wonderful stream. Loads of interaction in the chat from loads of different people. Some new faces, which is great. And to be honest, finally a good result in the last game as well. Which does make all the difference to our mood. Jack Vaughan replaces Morgan in the England under-21 squad. Wow, that's a massive achievement. That's great. Well done, Jack Vaughan. 4 caps there, but he's now breaking through into the squad. He's still improving off the pitch. And he's been a really good asset for us. He's versatile. He's a good Premier League player. I'm really pleased with how he's getting on. Me and my mate stopped playing on online pro clubs. Yeah, that's the hardest thing online, is creating a good community. So for me, I've always tried to keep this channel family friendly. So, you know, I'll be completely honest with you, and I'm sure anyone like Tom or Charlie who know me outside of this would back me up. Outside of here, I am probably one of the worst potty mouths you'll see. I mean, I'm professional. If I'm at work, I'm in front of patients, whatever, I'm not going to swear. But I probably swear in every sentence, to be brutally honest. So for me, I try very hard here not to make sure it's a good community. But yeah, you've just got to be honest. Over on the podcast as well, like where we were talking about Wigan going into administration, you get the 1 or 2 fans who come along and go, great to see your club going and whatever else. But, or you deserve to fail, your club deserves to go. But people are losing their jobs out of that, you know. And they might not even be Wigan fans. They're just people who have got jobs, you know. For me at Luton, I had work experience at Luton just as they were coming out of administration in 2008 when they were taken over by this current consortium, who obviously led by Nick Owen and Gary Sweet, who are fans of the club. And that sort of made me aware of it, because I was watching people talking about, am I going to lose my job next week? Am I going to get paid this month? And that's frightening to see when you're 14 going into a workplace for the first time. So I would always stick up for people after that. And, you know, we'll have a rational discussion with them, or we'll tell them to go away. There was one brilliant one on one of our predictions in the championship last week. I'm not going to repeat the swear words, but who said so-called football experts and you know where to go. And I just thanked him, just turned it on his head, just said, thanks for calling me a football expert. No one's ever done that before. You know, the Championship's the most unpredictable league in the world, so you're never going to get many right there. That's part of the fun of it. And that's what it is, fun. And equally, you know, he said, go back to your day job. I said, yeah, I am. I'm at my day job as I'm responding to you on my lunch break. So I think that kept him quiet. But you've just got to be polite and honest with people. If they don't treat you with respect back, then just say, see you later. Didn't you say you have a partnership for next year, One Club Short Story? Yes. So I was trying to, just prior to this, I was just trying to set up something with a local football club. And it's been mentioned in the comments in a couple of videos. But obviously with coronavirus, with not knowing when the new season's going to start, with the old one being made null and void, I don't know that I'm going to be able to go into the club to do what I was planning to do and what I was trying to organise with them. So it either might have to wait a year, that club specifically, or it might have to go ahead without so much at the club interaction. But we'll wait and see. There's a few months to go. Many things could happen at that time. So I'm not losing hope for it just yet. Right, we're nearly there. 1 day to go. Lowry has won Young Player of the Month, so bringing him into the side has worked, and Sunday Balogun will definitely go this summer now. And we've got our last game in the morning against Aston Villa. The last one before what is going to be a horrible end to the season in the next episode. It's going to be so difficult for us. How on earth we're going to beat some of those sides, I don't know. We're playing 4 of the 5 teams above us in the league. So, yeah, it's going to be a tough test. That's the thing, is I find it at work as well in the NHS. You've got a few demanding people who are really horrible to staff and whatever, but most people are there to help and most people appreciate it. It's very easy to focus on the 1 or 2 people who make your life or your day a bit harder. But the one thing I say, like if a receptionist says to me, oh, look, I've just been shouted at by this people, I'd say, how many people today have said thank you to you? I've said just thank you for your hard work, thank you for your service. And normally the answer is 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50. I say, focus on those people. You owe it to those people to focus on them. Because if you focus on the 98% of people who are nice to you, then do you know what? They'll appreciate it. They'll behave that way. And if you don't focus on the 1 or 2% who are looking for the attention by saying whatever about you, as we go and scout the 17 and 18-year-olds, then hopefully they'll learn their lesson because they're not getting what they want out of it, which is normally a reaction. Time is going fast today. It's because we've been so active in the chat. Everyone's been getting involved. It's been really great to see. And do you know what? If a stream goes quickly, for 2 hours on the Tuesday morning, I can take away a few people's troubles, or whether they're watching it later on live replay. I know, unfortunately, there's a lot of people at the moment who have to worry about their job, have to worry about their bills, have to worry about school, college, work, when they're going back, what they're doing, whether it's safe, what PPE they've got access to, etc. So to be able to just talk a bit of nonsense about football for a couple of hours is a nice change, isn't it? So let's just try and do that. Ashley Harrett is tired after the international break. Summerskill's back to fitness. He will go in goal. Ruthven will come in at left back for his first appearance. In fact, no. Wardley will start. Ruthven on the bench. Let's make his debut that way. And he will come on for the backup keeper. And I think that's what we're going to stick with. Phil Richards in. Yeah, I think that's it. It's the last game of the morning. So let's go and get into it. Score predictions. Can we get a back-to-back win? Or is it going to be back to the 1-1 draws? That's the big question of the morning. It's a 4-2-3-1 for Villa. And they've got Shrieky, the Israeli, in the number 10. We all know what he was like in when we were at Ireland in the head coach. They've also got Winslade at left back, who was on loan here until January, of course. So some interesting names about there. But we've got Summerskill back, which should help us in goal. And hopefully the attacking players won't do too badly. Let's see how we get on. Thank you, Old Gaming. I do appreciate your help. It does make such a difference for us. You think it'll be 1-1 in this game? It's probably the safest prediction to go for. I'll be brutally honest. We've got a corner here on the left with Edmonds. An in-swinger. Ball headed away. Torres brings it down. Come on. We need to nick a win. I think if we win this game, we'll probably get into Europe. If not, we'll probably fall away. But we'll look quickly at the Carabao and FA Cup after this. Edmonds brings it back to Simpson. Creates something. And don't lose it there because you'll get hit on the counter. Xavier. Torres. Where's the opening? Oh, he's at the bar. Lowry on the rebound, though. He is a goal machine, that man. He is going to be a world-class striker. Next year, if he gets to play first choice, he's going to go absolutely crazy. What a player he is. And Leon Lowry has scored again. Does that take him to 10 Premier League goals? 9 for the season. This is only his 7th start and most of the other appearances off the bench. That's incredible. Simpson finds Xavier, and I tell you what, following the Leeds victory and the international break, we look a lot more confident here. We're on the front foot a lot more. We're dominating possession as Edmonds is in on the left. His shot's blocked. Second one hits the post. Lowry nearly there on the rebound again. The defender hacked him to get it away. Brilliant work so far. What a performance. But while it's only one, things can go wrong. And that's where we've got to be very careful. So in we go, 10 minutes to the break. If you have missed any of this stream so far, please don't worry. You can catch up in the replay afterwards. As Edmonds delivers another in-swinger. To the back post. Headed down. Flauhaut puts it in. And for the first time today, we have scored 2 goals. And it looks like we're going to get a comfortable victory. Aston Villa down in the bottom half of mid-table. Probably 8 points, just enough of a gap to safety. But this, as it stands, puts us 10 clear of Leicester and Chelsea. And surely favourites, even if we don't get another point for Europe. Here's Winslade. Back to Dunbar and he clears long downfield. I've got to focus on this game. This is a big one as Coleman's running through for Villa. Simple shot for Summerskill, and that's the first one that he's really had to deal with in this game. A nice comfortable return to fitness for him. But half time, 2-0's the lead. Let's talk to the lads. We're going to praise them because they've been absolutely brilliant, and hopefully we'll get the same again. If we can bring youngsters on. Our gaming, luckily, haven't missed much of the streams. Absolutely. We've had probably 5 or 6 regulars here through nearly all of it, and we've had some new faces popping along during the weeks, which is great. I appreciate on a Tuesday morning, a lot of my subscribers will be at work, will be at college, will be at school, particularly now as things are starting to be relaxed in the UK, as Owen Edmonds gives away a ridiculous penalty. I was finally going to say today he's gone back to form, and then he does that. So can we have some Summerskill heroics? He's got previous for saving penalties here, but he's not back to full fitness yet, so what will he do? Summerskill, he can't save that one. And with 5 minutes gone in the second half, we've got to worry again. Let's see how we get along, shall we? 5 minutes gone in the second period. And I'm starting to get a little bit concerned. We throw away games quite often from winning positions. But it's Wardley on the left to Edmonds. A third goal would certainly cheer me up. To the back post to Torres. Misses it, but he's got a man behind him, Bonner, in support. Into Lowry, he's volleyed in again. The goal machine does get his 10th Premier League goal of the season. And if we do win trophies in this series, that's going to lead us there. Fantastic goal from him. And it's a brace, he's now on a hat-trick. I'm not there to take him off. Wardley will be replaced by Ruthven for his debut. Half an hour for the left back. Phil Richards tired, so I'm going to bring Mullen on for his debut as well. And then Vinicius is the other one, but who does he come on for, really? Maybe for Xavier? I'll give it 10 more minutes for that. Or perhaps we bring Fabio on. Bonner can have a rest at right back then. So we'll wait and see on that front, but things going well as Leon Lowry is the star of the show again. 20 minutes left here, and we will think about the final change. Bonner's struggling physically, so Fabio will come on at right back, and we'll just protect him. Hopefully, enough to wrap up victory. We'll just drop to balanced as well. Make sure we keep possession as Fabio's got a throw on the right. Thank you to everyone who's still coming along late on here. I do appreciate it. As it's Villa, playing out from the back. And did you recognise the name in central midfield? You will later if you haven't already. All I'll say is there's central midfielder Harper. Keep an eye on his name because he'll pop up in the head coach today. We've got a free kick for offside. And I'll tell you what, Villa are just starting to get on the front foot here. And I'm starting to get a little bit worried about it. Winslade back to Tamori. He goes back to the goalkeeper. Semper out to Dunbar. And again, they're just starting to get place here. We've had to take off the lads who are struggling physically, but that does leave us a little bit short of quality in some areas. Sousa playing 1-2s and Aston Villa keeping the ball well into Shrieky. This is a long highlight, and you know that's normally going to lead to something. Headed forward, Fabio away, and can it be our counter? Torres through, Lowry's 1-on-1 on a hat-trick, round the goalkeeper. Round of applause, Leon Lowry. 3 goals, 4-1 we lead, and Leon Lowry has now taken Sunday Balogun's place. I'll write my best 11 and my favourite 11 ahead of next week's stream, and I'll come back to you on that one. One, because with deliberation, I probably wouldn't finish it in time for the end of this episode. And secondly, because that's a tough question. And I want to do a favourite run rather than just a best. But there we go. A convincing victory to wrap up the day. A 10-point gap to European places with 7 games remaining. But we have got to play 4 of the top 5 now before the end of the season. A brilliant result. A brilliant victory. Leon Lowry, we've got to go and praise him. Debuts for Ruffin and Mullen. I mean, so many positives out of that game. So let's very quickly, as we said we would, go and look at the Carabao Cup. Apologies again for the constant nose wiping. It is driving me absolute nuts, the hay fever today. So Liverpool beat Chelsea in the Carabao Cup final. That is crucial. And the reason for that is Liverpool are up in the top 4. Or 5th, sorry. They're 5th in the league. They're going to be in Europe. Chelsea conceivably could miss out. They're in 8th place there. So they might nick 7th off Leicester. But then that means 6th will definitely get us Europe, dependent on the winner of the FA Cup. So let's have a look at who's up there. In the semi-finals, oh dear. Villa, Everton and Hull. Hull aren't even Premier League. Everton are 14th, Villa are 15th, and Manchester United are 4th. I need Manchester United to win that FA Cup. Please, 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 United, do it for us. After that, we need to have a look at the Europa League, and we need to have a look at the Europa League 2 to see if any of those could be won by the other boys. El Gaming, I can always rely on you for questions. I tell you what, there's some crackers most weeks. So we've got another problem here. Chelsea are in the last 8 of the Europa League. So we need United, Tottenham or one of the foreign sides to win it. Anyone apart from Chelsea to win that Europa League. I'm not just putting a downer on Chelsea because they've got a really good side. They've got good players. But we need to get into Europe here. In the Europa League 2, there's no English sides left. So that is a positive for us. That means that we're going to qualify if we get 6th and United win the FA Cup, or one of the sides other than Chelsea win the Europa League, 6th will be enough. If Chelsea win the Europa League and someone else wins the FA Cup, then I think we would need 5th, which is an issue. So hopefully that won't be the case, but we're basically in a league of our own at the moment. 10 away from the sides above us, 10 above the sides below. But there are big moments to come. And that is because we've got 4 of the top 7 in the next episode. Sandwiched in the middle of there, we've got Derby, Fulham and West Ham. West Ham are in 9th in the chasing pack. Fulham are bottom and down, and Derby are scrapping in 18th. So hopefully, even though we'll be in poor form by that point, we can rely on a win at Fulham. And if we can do that, 56 points may be enough. Because the others will then need 13 from 21, and hopefully some of them will be playing each other. So let me know how you think we'll get on next episode. You can get down in the comments after this. There will be a live stream replay available on the channel so you can catch up with all the action that you may have missed. Thank you so much for being along this morning. The consistency, the views, the average view time has all been absolutely incredible. And I can't thank you enough for your help and your support in the live streams. So if you are enjoying this one and you did enjoy this morning, please do put a thumbs up on the video. It does make such a difference. Come and get involved next week. It's our landmark one, our 10th stream on the channel. And make sure you check out the head coach this evening. It is going to be a massive one. There is a job change and it is going to be a European super club. So thank you so much for everyone for coming along this morning. Great to see some new and regular faces in the chat. And hopefully I'll see you next week. And hopefully in the comments of other videos during the week. Thanks again this morning and I'll see you next time.